I have a question that David T5770 posted on one of my meditation videos, specifically a video on the essence of mind and pointing out instructions. And I started to type up an answer, and I thought it was getting a bit too involved and not very clear in my written answer, so I thought I would talk through it a bit. So I've put a link to the original video in the description. And here's the question. First, by the way, thank you, David, for posting a question. I really do like getting questions and comments. This dialogue and back and forth is really a good part of making these videos. I'm looking at the thumbnail for the video, and I can see it's before I shaved my beard. So depending on how far you've gotten in any other videos, you might be surprised by the change in facial hair. This was back when I had a very full Civil War style beard. Anyway, the question, is there a protocol for obtaining the pointing out instruction? I have a friend who could either dither for the rest of this lifetime or could meet a teacher and do something more useful. Do many retreats include the instruction? Is it okay to ask for the instruction, or does one need to have a close connection to a teacher to start with? I do not know how to advise him, as he seems highly interested, yet also afraid. So there's a lot of really good stuff in there, and I'll speak from my experience, my exposure to different teachers. But that is what it is my experience. And I haven't traveled a lot. I have a fairly parochial background. I'm fortunate enough to have met a teacher here in Pittsburgh who I've studied with for 15 years in the Bon Tibetan Buddhist lineage. I've done some studying in other Tibetan lineages, but and earlier in my life, a little bit of Zen. But just to be clear, it's not like I've traveled the world taking retreat with dozens of different teachers. So I'll just tell you what my sense is, and hopefully that's helpful. Is there a protocol for obtaining the pointing out instructions? Well, if you read the traditional texts, there's always a kind of winnowing out process where it's tough to find the teachings. What we're talking about with pointing out and the essence of mind is really the Dzogchen teachings, kind of the teachings of clear sky, big mind, big sky, clear mind. And traditionally, those are described as the secret teachings. Now, my take on that is that doesn't mean that they are prohibited and locked away. They certainly aren't now. They're very available now, at least in their content, in the text. So there's no protocol. There's no secret handshake. There's nothing that you need to worry about with the etiquette for these particular teachings any more than there are for any other teachings, where it's very important to find a teacher and approach that teacher with respect. And you say that here, could meet a teacher and do something more useful. I would say it's imperative to find a teacher. And 100 years ago, that would have meant, maybe even 50 years ago, that would have meant going to Tibet and hiking through the mountains, going somewhere where you thought the teacher might be in residence, finding out that he's not there, maybe not getting past the senior students who might make it hard to find the teacher, This is more as a test of a test of your mettle, right? A test of your integrity and your heartfelt desire. Nowadays, when you can go to Amazon and order dozens of books that are absolutely the most profound teachings, what I think happens now is that the real meaning of the secret comes through, which is that for these teachings, the teaching is right out there. A pointing out instruction is not occult. It's not obscure. The nature of mind that is being pointed to, is not hidden, except that it is not what we pay attention to. You ask, do many retreats include the instruction? If you look for a Dzogchen instruction, the teaching that I was referring to here will be part of that teaching. The question is the receptivity of the student. And that's a dialogue that goes on and can harden into a disagreement, but in my mind there is no disagreement. Surya Das, who I'm going to recommend that you go to the I think it's dzogchen.org. Just double check. Yeah, dzogchen.org. I'll put that link in there. This is the Dzogchen Center, I think, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, founded by Lama Surya Das, who was an American who went to India, Tibet, Nepal in the 60s and 70s, spent more than a decade in study and practice, and now has been back here in America, in the West, for 30 years, teaching those practices. Right? So there's nothing secret about it. A Dzogchen retreat will include that teaching. Oh, I know. Okay, so Surya Das. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting all over the place. He puts it this way, and I like this a lot. What is it? Schlepping up the mountain or shooting down with a lightning bolt. Recognition of the nature of mind. For some people, slow, steady, incremental practice, gradual realizations that sort of slough off the obscurations, leading to kind of recognition, the pointing out, right? Readiness to receive pointing out. That's kind of how my practice has unfolded. Kind of the metaphor of shining a mirror, gradually using the practices, the direction and the teachings to slowly align my insight, to slowly let go of misconceptions, gradually leading to a more complete sense of nature of mind. And schlepping up the mountain. Swooping down from the top is, at any point, these instructions are available to manifest full enlightenment. And then the work becomes stabilizing that realization. A moment of true insight followed by careful practice to recognize and stabilize that insight. But yes, many retreats do include that instruction. Look for a retreat on Dzogchen. I see that the Dzogchen Center has a day-long virtual retreat on April 27th. I might sign up for that. $100. It's pretty good. Is it okay to ask for the instruction, or does one need to have a close connection to a teacher to start with? Again, if you go to a retreat on Dzogchen, you should expect that this is the teachings on the nature of mind will be the subject of discussion. Now, the relationship between student and a teacher is, I think, essential. Like an online retreat is a great place to start. You'll learn a lot, and you'll be able to begin practicing. But at some point, you need to form a connection with a teacher, because that connection is what's going to give you kind of the reckoning, the navigation. As we meditate and as we practice, there's all kinds of mistaken interpretation of the teachings, mistaken perceptions of our experiences. They're not. You're gonna experience all kinds of things, and some of those are worth cultivating, and some of them are not. And the relationship with a teacher helps identify the parts to cultivate. Again, I'll go back to what I said. The pointing out instructions are not difficult in the sense they're not some code that needs to be unlocked, or some special puzzle that needs to be put into place. It really is recognition of something that's really right in front of us. And how we get there is dependent on our own preparation, our own psychological makeup. And so to start with, you do not need to have a close connection with the teacher. You need to have a reputable source, which is why I'm recommending the Surya Das, the dozens of other temples and associations. But this one's easy to find. And as far as asking for the instruction, you have asked for it by attending the retreat. You're not knocking on a cave door and pulling someone out of their 10-year solitary retreat to ask for instruction. We don't need to do that. We're in a golden age in a lot of ways. I mean, it really is. The availability of this teaching, of all the teachings, not just the nature of mind, Dzogchen teachings, but insight meditation. We live in an astonishing time. Again, compared to 50 years ago, 100 years, where first you had to even figure out where Tibet was. Highly interested, yet also afraid. So look, that's normal, of course, right? Some part of us recognizes the shift that will take place when we practice, even if we've never done it. And it can be scary. The first introduction to meditation is really the introduction to your mind. And our minds are distracted, they are noisy, they are filled with complicated emotions that we've when we start, we assume that we are those complicated emotions. Complicated meaning not always things that we're proud of, right? What meditation starts to do is to settle that down a little bit and change the relationship between what we think of as the self and what we think of as the thought. But that is a change in self. It is a change. And it can be a bit rough. It can also be it can be ecstatic. It can be all of that. It will be all of that. If your friend has some specific questions, my email's I think it's on the channel. Happy to have a private conversation, at least to get over this initial hurdle to find a retreat. Start to look at some practices, some texts. You actually don't say here. I'm assuming from what you're saying that that you do have some meditation experience, but he doesn't. So again, for some of those initial questions, I'm happy to take some emails. But is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, thank you for the question. I hope this helped. If it didn't, or if it did, but you have follow up, please keep dropping the comments or sending an email, and I'll do what I can to at least clarify what I think about the questions and see if that goes somewhere. So, yeah, keep your wits about you.